welcome back to I Am Sound. My name's Nat Rich, and today I am sat with Jamie Catto, who's currently trying to find out the name of the fabulous award that he won.
Culture Shift Legacy, Culture Shift Your World.
Do you want to read it out so you get it right?
It's the Shift Your World Festival's Culture Shift Legacy Award.
And what does that mean?
That means that the One Giant Leap movies had a palpable shift in a positive way in certain areas of culture. Okay. Or that we used culture to make a shift. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't met them.
You need to find it out.
We've got an acceptance speech booked online on Saturday.
Nice. So, okay, One Giant Leap, backtrack.
Yeah.
In short, tell us about One Giant Leap.
One Giant Leap is like the luckiest thing an artist could ever get to do. It means we first started making music when used to call it world music. We were so kind of into all the different amazing world singers and players and master musicians from all around the world. And Duncan and I met a long, long time ago in the 90s and kind of agreed that even though we absolutely love all those singers and players, we actually didn't like any of their albums very much. We didn't think they were produced very well, and you couldn't eat a whole one. Even amazing artists like Baba Mal, after 3 tracks, 4 tracks, it was like enough. And we thought there must be a way of producing this music where you can really get how incredible these master musicians are. So we just went into the studio and started messing around with big landscapey sounds and hip hop beats and different artists from different cultures, and very, very quickly got offered a record deal by Chris Blackwell, who signed Bob Marley and U2 and is just a very cool guy. Started Island Records, very cool guy in the music industry. But at that time, they had just transformed their company from a music company into a film company called Palm Pictures. And they said, listen, you have to make a movie that goes with your album. And we were like, well, we want to go around the world. And instead of using all these samples that we've gathered, we actually want to do fresh recordings with all these artists. But actually just going around the world plugging in instruments isn't going to make a very interesting film. We thought to ourselves, wait, if we're going around making a film, we don't just have to limit it to musicians. We can talk to authors and gurus and criminals and, amazing, just inspirational people from all around the world. We can shoot extraordinary visuals of everyday life that will become like visual metaphors for what we're talking about. Then we came the idea, how about we give every bit of music a theme? Like one can be allocated towards death, God, sex, money, universal themes that everyone can talk about, no matter whether you're in a village in Africa or a penthouse in LA. And so that's what we did, is we went around the world. We just did millions and millions of interviews with people of all walks of life, as well as amazing, iconic people like Dennis Hopper, Carrie Fisher, Michael Stipe was singing on it, Kurt Vonnegut, the author, Tom Robbins, just extraordinary people that had inspired us, as well as spiritually ones like Eckhart Tolle and Ram Dass and Neil Donald Walsh and everybody else, Gabrielle Roth. And we mushed it all together as all the interviews, all the images, all the music, and it became this just rich mosaic of incredible jewels, all of them inspiring, all of them amazing, but you don't know what you're going to get until you edit it all together. That was One Giant Leap.
That was the quickest version of that I've ever heard.
Not bad.
You did well.
Short and sweet, like my lovemaking.
Very true. I wouldn't know. But you have, at the minute, you've got like a whole thing where you do your online workshops and you do something called Game Changer and Bring It, which is like teaching people about the spiritual path, but in a way of kind of circling around the edges.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've been doing that for 10 years or more?
Yeah.
So now you want to bring back One Giant Leap. Am I right?
Well, there was never any kind of thought, oh, let's bring back One Giant Leap, but because it's the 20-year anniversary of the first one, certain people have said, oh, you've won this legacy award, or, oh, we would like to do a re-release of this part, or, oh, da-da-da. So a lot of just sort of various platforms are suddenly interested in certain bits of it. So there seems to be a little bit of momentum of us doing some sort of a re-release footage that no one's seen before. And, because it was edited down to 7.5 hours for Channel 4, which was the making of. It was also like a 2-hour movie. It was also obviously the album. But even all of that is only about maximum 4 hours, 5 hours of stuff. We shot 1,000 hours as we went around the world. So there's so many incredible performances, incredible interviews, incredible moments that we can still play with. And so, yeah, we get the opportunity here at the moment to sort of dig through some of the material and go, oh, do you remember in Senegal when, like it's really quite, it was an amazing, I mean, it's one of those things you don't appreciate at the time how lucky you are. I remember also like when I was in Faithless and we were like massive all over the place, you kind of think, well, it's obviously going to be like this forever. That's me, I'm massive, which is exactly as it should be. You don't realize that it's just like, that these things happen is an amazing bit of luck. And so we're having sort of after effect gratitude going through all these amazing experiences in Africa, India, Australia, Europe, just extraordinary places we journey to where these beautiful, lyrical, gifted musicians and philosophers and just amazing everyday people opened their lives to us, and it was like the poorer people were, the more generous they were. So it's like when you're in a tiny village in like Gabon or Senegal or somewhere like that, they want to give you everything. You really get to know like their kids over days and their families. You get welcomed into communities. You learn all kinds of things about etiquette and how you have to conduct yourself. You go in with your, with all your white privilege thinking how it should be, and I will pay everybody a large chunk of money. Actually, you go certain places, if you hand over that kind of money, you'll probably get somebody killed. You can't just give someone 300 quid in certain places because it will actually cause huge problems in the village. You actually better to build something in the village than give it to an individual. And you have to learn actually what's the most useful way to pay everybody in the least harmful way, rather than just go in and be terribly generous. You realize that actually you've got to think it through a little bit more. So it was quite an education. And also different cultures receive it for example, in certain cultures which are more Muhammad based, they're all about the eldest. So you have to give it to the person nearest your age in the village, and they have to give it to the next oldest, and they have to give it to the next. There's all kinds of ways that you have to protocol you have to follow. If you want to film inside certain religious ceremonies, you have to bring brandy and a goat for a sacrifice. And
wow,
it was really sad because we really made friends with this goat on the way there. we were like, okay, we've got to get a goat for the sacrifice so we can film these incredible pre-Christian communities, which are extraordinary, spinning, trancing, amazing, in the middle of nowhere. And then suddenly when it actually came to handing over the goat, we were like, Brian, you never name it.
No, you never name it.
And we were like, well, could we buy the goat off you? And they were like, no, that is the sacrifice goat. And it was like, no, there's no way you're getting that goat back.
So you killed the goat.
And chickens sometimes as well. So we had a thing at the end of the film, like no animals were hurt in the making of One Giant Leap. Except Brian the goat, Mildred the chicken.
Mildred, who came up with that? That was surely you.
I don't know. It was a long time ago.
So if you were to bring back kind of the essence of One Giant Leap for 2022, what would that look like in a dream for you?
Well, the phrase that we always use to describe the whole project is celebrating unity through diversity. That the more diverse artists and conversations and locations we went to, the more unity was expressed underneath. And unity has always been, as an artist, has always been the thing that I am the most passionate about showcasing and championing in the world. Whether it be the unity of different cultures, that all the different religions are really saying the same thing when you get down to it. That everybody in humanity, you may have different coloured skin, you may have different cultural rituals, but really we're all in our humanity, we're all unified. And a lot of the corporate and commercial world is based around division. Making you feel not enough, making women feel alienated from their bodies, making people feeling alienated from the stage of life they're in, that they may be aging. No, quickly get me some cream for the wrinkles. Just alienating you from whatever's going on and from each other is a good way to make money, because then you go, oh, well, I haven't got enough. I need this to solve that problem. I need this to have no wrinkles. I need this to feel that I'm better than competing with the other people. So when you're in a state of unity, you don't need to buy much. You don't need to use up the planet. You don't need to constantly have your head in a computer screen. You are in human connection with everyone and you feel fulfilled. Sorry, hitting the mic again. Getting excited.
Brian's going to tell you.
You feel fulfilled.
Like, don't do that.
Yeah. When you're fulfilled, you spend a lot less. You use up a lot less of the planet's resources. And also you're in a much greater state of health, because when you're feeling good, your body doesn't need to start sort of wearing out its organs.
Yeah.
So yeah, in all ways, expressing unity and usness, themness, us and them. The idea of them is what's destroying the planet. The only reason we allow the terrible things that go on to the poor people in Syria or the poor people in the Congo or wherever they're making the phone batteries at the moment, or the Apple computers, the only reason we allow that is because we think of those people as them.
Yeah.
But we think of the people in France as us. So if there's a shooter in France and 14 people get killed, everyone changes their Facebook's image to have a French flag on it, because those are us. Can't have that. 14 people, 5,000 people in Syria last week, but we think of those people as them. And as long as we keep thinking of people as them, we will allow terrible things to happen to them. But anyone we think of as us, we won't let anything happen to them. So our job as artists and creators is to expand usness wherever we can. And if everybody becomes us, including, as Brian Eno says at the beginning of One Giant Leap, including people in the future, as we start treating people in the future as us, we'll care for the environment a lot more, because we want to look after the people in the future. So promoting the notion of us and dissolving the idea of them is a huge part of being an artist.
This little rant that you're on now, it reminds me of the conversation that we had about your manifesto of the Common Sense Party.
Yeah.
So do you want to...
Let me in charge. That's what people just put me in charge. I promise you I will sort everything out.
This is a big statement, but I know that you've actually...
I would. No one will ever give me the job, but I would.
I reckon we could get you up there.
I'd be a benevolent dictator.
Okay, so in Jamie's world of like saving...
Number one.
Okay, go on.
Take capitalism out of medicine.
Yes.
The two things should not be anywhere near each other.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be making a profit from medicine. It should just be a government-funded, tax-funded thing. And then there would be cures instead of lots and lots of medication for symptoms. Because if you cure someone, you can't make any more money from them. They're better. But if you keep them needing this pill every month for 10 or 50 quid, then they are a cash cow forever. So the pharmaceutical companies are all about managing symptoms to make as much money as possible. They're not about curing anybody, nor could they be, because we live in a world where you have to keep expanding financially to stay in business. And even in England, but also massively in America, if your company makes a decision that doesn't support financial growth because they want to be more environmentally friendly or they want to be more ethical, they can be sued by all the shareholders. There's a law. You legally are not allowed to make decisions which limit the growth, even if it's ethical, even if it's environmental. So it's all driven, even legally, to have to keep growing financially. So it's not about cures. It's only about managing symptoms. So take capitalism out of medicine. The two things need to be separated, and health will expand everywhere. It's amazing that throughout this whole COVID thing, there has been no announcements by the government about eating certain good things to help your immune system.
Yeah.
Nothing. Just
and they close all the gyms.
Only what medications you should take, but nothing about lifestyle things or things you could do that would actually help your health and help your immune system. Absolutely mental. It says it all. So number one, get medicine out of capitalism.
Number two,
we've got to stop being arms dealers. I mean, that's why I call it the Common Sense Party. Obviously, we have to stop being arms dealers.
Yeah.
Do I even need to argue that? While we are the arms dealers, we can't pretend we're the peacekeepers of the world and have all these conferences in places to try and help different places in the world when we're the ones making the money from it still being in battle and at war and ripping families apart and children. And it's like, we don't even understand we can't even conceive. If you just saw one family being ripped apart and the children and everything like that, you wouldn't be able to bear it. It's happening on a level of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of families. We're just numb to it. We can't understand. But we turn a blind eye, unbelievably, that a huge part, especially in America and France and England, a huge part of our national wealth is based around arms dealing. It's around keeping these conflicts going so that we can be making money on both sides, selling them and manufacturing the guns, the bombs, and all the computer equipment and all the fighter planes and everything like that. It's the most disgusting, satanic, I mean, I'm not religious, but it is pure evil that we would be making money from war and death. It's a death culture. We've got to stop being gun runners and arms dealers. That's just obviously got to stop.
Yeah. Number three, you've got a whole list here. So just to let you know.
I did write a little list because I wanted to remember not to forget anything. No one can owe more than £1 billion.
Right.
No one needs more than $1 billion. No one even needs $1 billion, for God's sake.
Yeah.
But no one should have more than $1 billion. It's centralizing lumps, which are just numbers on a bit of paper, while people are starving, and the hospitals haven't got what they need, the schools haven't got what they need, the elders are not cared for properly, the kids are not educated properly. There's all kinds of problems in all other areas. There's not the healing and the mending of the environmental stuff happening. They say they haven't got budgets for it, and it's all, there's scarcity, or what's the word they use for it? Austerity, or something like that. What a load of fucking rubbish. There's plenty of, like so-and-so's Bezos has got 180 billion. Sorry, mate. No, you don't. We're taking 179 of those and we're circling it around people who actually need it.
Redistributing the wealth.
How can it be so stupid? And people, again, carry on with it. They still vote for the people that keep it that way because they think, because they watch Downton Abbey, the one time they're going to get an invitation by the Queen to come and have tea or something. They're just mental. No one should have more than $1 billion. If you make $1 billion, you get a dog park named after you and you get a badge that says I won capitalism. But anything over $1 billion just gets recirculated back into the world. That's obvious.
Number 4, there's a whole list. I love the dedication.
We've got to revolutionize the meat industry. If you have to eat meat, I'm not saying everyone has to become a vegetarian.
Okay.
If we've got to eat meat, we've got to eat meat. But factory farms have got to go. They are the most ridiculous, cruel, disgusting. The whole processed meat industry is absolutely diabolical. And like Linda McCartney once said, if abattoirs had glass walls, everyone would be a vegetarian the next day. There's 185 football stadium-sized factory farms just in the UK.
Wow. I didn't know that.
185. Right now, as we speak, doing a daily holocaust of screaming, agony, cruel, nasty, unaudited, beyond the dark ages, with these beautiful sentient beings. Have you ever looked a cow in the face?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not okay on any fucking planet. It's common sense. Again, it's just total common sense.
Yeah.
And number 5,
that was number 5. Number 6. That
was number 4. Number 5, I would say, is we need to liquidate the Crown assets. The Crown is getting, from the rent on Regent Street and the rent in everywhere else, money pouring in. And that is money that is the people's money. That is money that
could be used.
It's treated like private wealth, but actually this was money that was won in battles, probably awfully, but battles by people giving their lives. All the British families that sent their sons and fathers off to war is what earned all that money and all that wealth. It's the people's money. Use it for your subjects, Mrs. Queen. Use it for hospitals, schools, plumbing, all the things, environmental, solar power, all the things we need to not destroy ourselves. Don't just leave it in a great big pile somewhere and have a big gold hat. It's absolutely disgusting. There's all this money flowing in from all the ownership of all the lords and all the crown, of all the ownership of all the property, all through London, the stuff that isn't owned by China already, that is. So liquidate those assets. Liquidate the assets of all the billionaires. Pay for the things that need to be paid for. It's absolute common sense. And you can still have a helicopter and a chalet if you've done really well. Not saying everyone has to be equal. It's not like sort of equal communist sort of like queuing for bread kind of thing. It doesn't have to be like that. It still can be capitalistic in a way, but it needs to be regulated so you can't earn over a certain amount. And once you've got 2 chalets and a helicopter, you're done, mate.
It is so much sense. It is the common sense.
Who's going to argue
party.
that? There's nothing I've said that doesn't make perfect. Arms dealing, medicine out of capitalism, liquidate the Crown assets, no one have more than $1 billion, and sort out the farming, disgusting treatment of animals. Who could possibly not think any of those would... If you just started with those things, I think everything else would sort itself out.
Probably. I think you're
it's just the mentality.
So tell me, this approach to Jamie as
sounds like I'm joking, but I'm actually...
No, I know you're deadly serious.
I wish they'd let me do this.
No, but I think they will.
How amazing would this country be if we did those 5 things?
I think the world would be amazing. And I wish we
could do it. What's the matter with us? The worship of quick money is killing us.
But, okay, so my question, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper on here. And so why haven't you already started your common sense party?
Because I've been expressing these kind of values through the music and the film and through the workshops and through the book, Insanely Gifted. But I can't see how I would really get any traction with doing what I just described. Like, I don't know what do I do? If Russell Brand can't do it, and he's got 4.5 million people on his YouTube
4.7 million now, he keeps saying every time he does a video.
If Russell, who's a lot more connected and a lot more eloquent than me and understands everything I've just said, I'm sure, and would probably agree with all of that, I don't know. It's like I'm not sure I've got the numbers yet to really get that.
Okay, so imagine somebody's here. Imagine everyone's listening, because obviously they will be, because this you. Everybody wants to hear Jamie speak. So everyone's watching and they're like, "Oh my God, I feel so empowered."
Yeah.
What do I do about this? How do we support this person? Like, what if you're now going to do?
Send me a little message. Just say I'm in. That's all. If I get 1,000 people say I'm in, I'll do it.
Okay, if you get 1,000 people saying I'm in,
I'll start it properly.
This is proper. This is like a real thing. Because if this happens,
if it happens, I'll start.
You can't be dropping it
that
out.
Will be
this is your alarm.
There's the bell of truth there.
Told you that when the universe plays a noise in the background,
that will be my sign from Allah. That if 1,000 people say I'm in, I'll do it. I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll just dedicate everything to them.
Oh my God, you just committed to something quite.
I will.
So 1,000 people need to email you where?
And Jamie Catto at mac.com or
there you go. Jamie Catto.com. Jamie Catto at mac.com. We'll leave one space so it's really easy for them to use. So you have to email him and you say I'm in, not anything else, because you haven't got time to read 1,000 emails. You're going to be saving the world.
How they might help.
Oh yeah, if you've got any idea and suggestions of help, then you put that in bullet points, so it's really easy to read. We don't want loads of paragraphs.
No more than 100 words.
Yeah, okay. Now, see, there's a whole plan here. You've obviously clearly been thinking about.
I always have a thing for all emails, no more than 100 words.
Okay, so does your Common Sense Party, is there any like colours or anything? Is there like rainbows? Is there any kind of like, do you have a branding idea for this?
The rainbow's been taken. I would do the rainbow, but that's been taken.
You can have the I Am Sound branding if you want.
Yeah. Right,
I don't know what I've just set us
Not
up
the smiley face, though. Not the smiley face.
Jamie doesn't like the smiley face.
I just think it's a bit limited to the acid house. It's a bit of a narrow sector.
Thank you.
But a smiley face in general is good. I would probably take an emoji and have the smirking face. I think it's got a little more like the smirking face is a little bit like I'm having a bit of an internal chuckle to myself. Internal chuckles are good.
Oh, okay. So. Who, like, if there's 1,000 people that come back that email you, I'm in.
Especially if Russell Brand could be one of them.
Okay, so
want to meet
Russell. I would love to meet him. There's the whole I would love to host a conversation. Not that I'd get a word in edgeways between you and Russell. I think that would be the best to say. So Russell, if you ever watch this, hello. But the idea is that yes, there's a lot of passion out there. There's a lot of people that want things to change. There's a lot of people out there that are feeling a bit helpless and clueless at the moment. And so have you got any ideas of what the first thing would be once you create the party and you
Depends
get
1,000? How much money we've got.
Okay, so let's break it down. If I had lots of money. This is how we change the world, people. So we're just toying around with ideas.
If we had lots of money, first thing to do is some of the most powerful people on the planet are the copywriters and art directors in the advertising industry.
Yeah.
They can suddenly make somebody want to buy something that they just didn't think they needed.
This is what I've been saying for years. They just need to make a really good campaign where people actually cry and buy and actually buy into this idea.
Exactly. Just make the really, so that all the people who are aspirational for exactly that person that's been cast wearing those clothes, they've done all the research that actually really does get into people's psychology to make generosity, deeper connection.
You want a makeover. This is what I'm hearing you're saying. You want them to make you over to look like the person.
No.
Not right now. I don't think this is going to work for Common Sense Party leader, but I could be wrong. People could be falling in love with you.
I have got a suit.
Oh, you've got one suit. I've seen your suit.
I wear a t-shirt underneath it, but it
makes
suit.
it look cooler.
I would wear a suit if I was, because I think suits kind of do look cool, especially at my age.
Okay, how old are you?
53.
How are you feeling at 53? Leader of the Common Sense Party.
Last week I discovered that I had 2 pulmonary embolisms on my lungs, the blood clot on each one. So
you almost didn't make it.
I know. So now suddenly I've got to start taking blood thinner pills because I was obviously been getting a bit too excited. Mm-hmm. But apart from that, I'm in great health.
So is there anybody else out there apart from Russell Brand that you think would be really useful in the Common Sense Party? He's a little bit controversial right now. He said that all the people that are vaccinated or who aren't vaccinated should be denied healthcare.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I think that's right. I'm sure that's
I don't think Noam would say something like that, to be honest.
I'm pretty
sure. Undiscriminating.
Somebody Google it. Paris, Google it. Noam Chomsky, vaccinated people. Yeah.
I doubt that, but okay. Stephen Fry. Just because you just need Stephen around. He's so full of common sense.
Well, you know Stephen anyway. So.
I know Noam. I know them all.
I know.
I just don't know Russell.
Okay, we need to get you to Russell somehow. Have we got a theme tune for this Common Sense Party? Have we got something that
could... Hokey-cokey.
The hokey-cokey.
Yeah, that's something that everyone can get behind.
Very true. Any mascots? We're just creating the vision here to bring it home.
Everybody's children are the mascots.
Oh, that's nice.
Everybody's children.
Everyone's children.
You know, when I work inside a company, like corporate stuff for insanely gifted and
which are your
creativity,
workshops, by the way, that he does. Just
you put get everybody in the whole company to bring in a picture of their kid, and you wallpaper one of the walls with everybody's children. And then you realize that you're not just working for just all these people in the room. You're working, all of you together are feeding all those beautiful mouths.
Oh, that's
It's a really beautiful thing to do.
You're quite good at this, reminding people.
That's why I earn the big bucks.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. Big tax bill. So an entire pot of money for this party, this common sense party that you'd be creating, this would not be a charity. This would be a well-used fund, or would it be a charity?
Don't mind.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of what people might be thinking about.
It will probably be a CIC.
Remind me what that is.
A corporate something company. Community interest company.
Community. Paris can join.
It's like a charity, but it's allowed to. It's just a little bit less complicated.
Okay. What, Paris? Paris has got some notes here. He's going to speak up. Paris.
Noam Chomsky said that people should have the decency to remove themselves from the community if they're unvaccinated.
Oh.
Yeah,
well,
we don't need Noam Chomsky.
Oh, Noam. But he's brilliant about other things.
Yes, you could say that about Trump, but that was a bit divided.
But maybe we're all wrong about the vax. I mean, maybe
we're all
it's
wrong.
all just like.
So, what's your views at the moment in terms of like where are you at? What
with
do
the
you
vax?
think? Yeah,
I'm basically a coward, and my position on the vax is I don't trust the people who are making it, and I don't trust the people who are peddling it, and I don't trust any of their friends from their history. You know, most of the companies like Pfizer, and they've got awful histories of lobbying governments to make sure you don't. I mean, for a start, they said they didn't want to publish their research for 75 years till basically everyone who could be accountable is dead. That's not a good sign. How anybody could think that was an okay thing to agree to is scary. Yeah. Probably the same guy in the government that agreed to that was the same person who agreed that McDonald's and Coke could be the sponsors of the Olympics, which is another. That person happen? Should be shot.
Oh God, didn't even know that happened.
That person should be. Like, I'd like to find out. So I'm a bit full of rage occasionally with some of these things, and I think it's healthy anger that certain people should die. And among them, first on the list is whoever in the government agreed that Coca-Cola and McDonald's are allowed to be the main sponsors of the Olympics. They're allowed to pretend this actual two poison companies basically are allowed to suddenly tart themselves up as if they're close to anything healthy because they were the highest bidder. It's everything that is wrong.
Do you know, okay, I've got one of these scenarios that really bugged me. In the middle of a pandemic, if I was running Netflix and somebody came to me with an idea and said, I've got a really cool idea for a video, everyone dies, it's sick as you like, no one's going to live, it's going to shock everyone into terror, we're calling it Squid Games, can we put that out? My answer running that company would be like, no, you need to get fired. That's the worst idea you could have in a pandemic ever. But still, it goes out. So these people who are in these corporations make decisions. I don't think there's a
connection between the two.
There is.
I think people just love death.
No, but putting that out at a time of now, somebody actually agreed and went, this is a really good time on the planet right now, and everyone's in fear to actually put out Squid Games. I think it's going to fly. Yeah,
but maybe Squid Games has got a message in it saying that us all obeying and selling out will get us into a situation where we all get killed. Maybe
but everyone's like, really love Squid Games and then carries on doing the things that's going to get them killed.
It is a disturbing show.
That's my rage. Now this is the vibration. You're passing on your rage for driving here today. And then talking about politics, you're getting me irate as well.
So you agree that this was a silly location choice for this?
No, this is a Bryony location. Bryony chose the location because it looked pretty, but we're here.
But it's
and it was also very cheap.
Okay.
I think you did a great job and I'm very happy with it. It's just obviously Jamie. So Jamie, you've been doing, other than writing down bullet point lists for the Common Sense Party that you may or may not run in the near future, if you get 1,000 people emailing him saying, I'm in. You also have now done a second book, the first one called Insanely Gifted. Yeah. Slightly humorous. It's okay. It's good.
Slightly humorous.
I thought it was good, yeah. But your second one.
It's about how all our insanities are really our gifts.
Yeah. And the second one, tell us more about that.
Oh, the second one's not that interesting to anyone.
It's just about you.
Yeah, it's just about me. So it's just, I'm the only person that really is the main customer for it.
You probably should have thought that before you spent.
But it wasn't really a commercial exercise. It was just more of a sort of, something to do and be creative during lockdown, and it was raw, and it was just all the stories through my slightly weird childhood and through being in Faithless and that whole side in the 90s and then one giant leap, all going around the world and all that stuff, and then 10 years of being a sort of workshop leader and all the mad stuff to do with that world, I realized I had a lot of different things that had happened that were kind of fun and interesting.
What's the madness of that world? Explain a little bit more. Because this is essentially what you're talking to now is a lot of the audience for I Am Sound, the self-development world. What is wrong and right with the self-development world
Well,
right
the thing
now?
about self-development is that most of it is an expression of I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Whereas the only way to be there is to be there, which is a little bit of a trite thing to say. But so much of the self-development is going on a path away from the here and now where we already are, which is where we need to be. And so much of being on a path is sort of like what Ram Dass would say, like busy being spiritual.
Yeah.
They want to be a good warrior. They want to be good at yoga. They want to cross that finish line and have this great trophy of being enlightened or
Meditating
something like that.
every day.
It's a total ego trip. It's actually pumping up the very muscle that you're trying not to inflate.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a real paradox within the self-development industry and sector of, one, people going on a lot of retreats and doing a lot of activities which are actually expressions of scarcity. They're expressing by the doing it, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet. This guru is there, this teacher is there, let me look up to them, projecting their power away, taking them in the opposite direction. Mm-hmm. Also, a lot of it is ways to not feel. The greatest thing that's going to get anyone close to enlightenment or self-actualization or realization is being whole, which means feeling all your darkness and your light, feeling all your sadness, feeling all your pain, as well as feeling all your joy. It's like a really total welcoming of all the human essence of experience. But so much of these kind of new agey or self-development things are about people are entering them to get rid of feelings, to get rid of the depression, to get rid of their money worries, to get rid of things. So again, it's going in the opposite direction, because the only way to be whole is to turn towards everything, not to get rid of anything. So there's a million ways in which that whole sector is kind of going in the wrong direction often and inflating an ego idea of I've got to reach that finish line, rather than I'm already here right now. What does this feel like? And
more embodiment.
So, and also it's very ridiculous, you know, so the way that a lot of people behave in that sector is laughable. You know, it's preposterous, a lot of it, and which is another shame, because there's some really great information in there within Buddhism and other isms. There's some really, really good, important stuff. Learning how to breathe properly, learning how to self-inquire, being compassionate, getting into a bit of stillness, not being so busy on your phone and you're listening to everything in your mind as if it's true, instead of it just being the truth of it actually just being a menu. There's a lot of really good information in there, but it's ponced up in so many stupid, spiritually bypassing, ridiculous things that no one would want to really be involved with. It turns people off actually getting involved in some really useful information. So it needs, the way we teach it in the School for the Insanely Gifted is more like, just treat all your self-development as entertainment. Don't treat it as anything more important than entertainment. We call it we call it the school of low-hanging fruit. You're just having lovely games, lovely processes, and if your soul decides you need to learn something today, don't you worry. It will drop it in your hand. And if you're not ready to learn it yet, there's no amount of banging your head against the yoga studio wall that will bring it to you. So your soul's job is to evolve you. If there's such a thing, your soul's job is to evolve you at the speed you're evolving. You can't get away from it. So there's no point in grasping after it, and there's no point in trying to push it away. It's going to come at the speed that it comes. There's really nothing you can do about it.
That's like you this week with your your lung situation. That was your lesson that you couldn't have.
Can't get away from it.
No, can't get away from it. So, okay, so I'm going to turn it back on you a little bit.
Turn it on me.
Turn it on you. Okay. So what would you say you need to do more of for your own journey, for yourself? What would you say?
Move my body.
Okay.
Yeah, I spend so much of my time horizontal, lounging around the place, listening to audiobooks, reading, helping people online, you know, certain clients or whatever, or teaching workshops. It's all on Zoom or whatever. So again, I'm lounging around. I'm not really in movement. So if I could force myself to do things, I would force myself to twice a week at least dance 5 rhythms, Gabrielle Roth's incredible movement medicine. I would... get into nature more. I think that would help me. And probably eat a little bit less mayonnaise.
A little bit. You eat a whole jar a week.
I do not eat a whole jar a week. I eat a good dollop a day, though.
Yeah. You do. Almost too much. So it's good to hear, because there's a lot of people out there spouting information and their opinion and their, judging from sometimes an elevated position. But it's good to hear that
we teach from the middle of the mess.
From the middle of the mess, which is good. And there's a whole point of, what you're sharing and what you're doing is this low-hanging fruit scenario of just responding to life rather than going looking for it.
Or go looking for it as a lovely adventure and a piece of entertainment, just not as something that's important. If it entertains you to go looking for it and go on a great quest, great. But don't think that quest is important or that you'd be lacking if you didn't do it.
Okay.
Whatever just feels fun and attractive. Trust your attraction.
And what feels fun to you right now?
Well, that's my problem, lounging around doing nothing, listening to audiobooks. That's why I've got to I needed to have 2 blood clots on my lungs to actually sort of go, well, maybe fun, you might reframe fun.
Very true. So if you had I'm thinking about you moving on from this and being in the common sense party.
Yeah. I'm thinking of getting a treadmill.
Where are you going to put the treadmill?
In my house, so that when I'm on the computer, I'm walking all the time. I'm in movement.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
I like that idea. Okay, so treadmill aside, one giant leap.
Yeah.
Bringing it back from where we started. This year, with the Common Sense Party, do you think the two could be combined?
Very much so, because we travel around having beautiful conversations. One Giant Leap is all about beautiful conversations, about being a human. Doesn't matter what your skin color is, doesn't matter what culture you came from. I mean, we love sharing all our different cultures and all our different stuff. But deep down, it's the humanity that unifies us all underneath, which is what One Giant Leap's all about. So that's what the Common Sense Party is all about. That, you're not to be treated differently just because your parents made a lot of money. You're not to be treated differently just because you've had certain advantages. You're never going to be able to totally get rid of that. You know what I mean? That's just not even how nature is. Even Mother Nature has some creatures that have it better than others. And there are certain litters that have a runt, that you're not going to be able to totally even everything out. But I think doesn't mean that we shouldn't do none. Mm-hmm. I think we need to even it out a bit. I think we need to regulate certain amounts, because you would never accept, if you were in a room full of children, or even just people that weren't children, 20 people in a house, and there was only a certain amount of food, and 2 people in the house had all the food, and they let the other 18 people in the house have a little teaspoonful every day, no one would fucking stand for it. And not only would they not stand for it, it wouldn't make any sense. And if you have a kid's birthday party or whatever, you would never allow one child to have all the sort of cupcakes and all the crisps and none of the other children. You would never let anything that you could see in a normal size play out the way that we're allowing planet Earth to play out. And the wealth inequality is no different from that. It's absolutely ridiculous that a handful of people are looking after whatever it is, 80% of the world's resources or something totally stupid. If there weren't huge amounts of people starving, and there weren't huge amounts of people who didn't have access to clean water, and there weren't huge amounts of people who couldn't get their, health and education, it would be less of a problem. But while that's going on, you can't have that much centralized wealth. You can't have the two things at once and consider ourselves in any way a civilized society.
I know when people call it civilization, I'm like, there's nothing civil.
There's nothing civilization. There's nothing civilized about it. So, you do, I think, have to maybe remove some of their money by force and just sort of say, I'm sorry,
we're talking here. We're just taking it?
We'll just take it. Say, sorry, Jeff.
Yeah.
You can keep $1 billion. We're taking the other 179 and we're going to feed all the fucking starving children and do all the cataract operations and all the infected water and the oil fields. We're sorting it all out because actually the needs of all the people on this planet are more important than your space race with Richard Branson. Sorry, mate. You're going to have to just get some therapy about that.
Very true. So if anyone wants to share this with the elite of the world, I'm sure they'd be very happy.
We're coming for you.
We're coming for you. Okay, there you've said it.
So
if anybody wants to go on a Jamie Catto rabbit hole journey and find out more about you, where can we find you? What can we do? How do we stalk you?
I don't know. Just tap my name into the internet.
So that's it. Just old school. Just
I'm
type
easy
it in.
to find.
Just Google me. Yeah.
I'm very easy to find.
You are
too easy actually.
I actually found you literally your phone number.
I've
was
had
on
people
your
break
website.
into my house. So.
No, I know it's because you give your address away.
Well, because you have
time.
to have it at the bottom of your invoices.
I know.
But we've changed the address now.
Good. Okay. Well, there's going to be no one breaking into
But sometimes
Jamie's
people
house.
have broken into the house, pretending to be other people that they're not.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's not good.
You've got to get all this sorted out. Security for the Common Sense Party. This needs to be tightened up a little bit.
I think our death date is set in stone. It's like you're not going to be able to change it, really. I don't really believe in all that stuff.
You might need to lead a little bit longer, though. So if you're going to be head of the Common Sense Party.
If Allah wills it.
Is there anybody else out there that you like, if you could choose, like, let's say apart from obviously Russell, please let us know. Apart from Russell and you've got 3 more spaces. Who else could run the Common Sense Party with you?
Do they have to be alive?
Well, that could help. Otherwise, we're going to have to...
Right. Well, you?
Okay, right. What would my role be? Admin?
Just looking pretty.
Cool, I can do that, apparently. What else? I've got 2 more spaces. You've got me, you and Russell.
That was a joke. You're a lot more than being pretty. That was like, don't freak out. He was kidding.
Okay, 2 more spaces.
2 more. My kids. 2 out of 3 of my kids.
Oh, you can't choose 2 out of 3. Who would be the one that you wouldn't choose, and what would
Memphis.
she be? Memphis. She's too young.
Well, she'd be the best of all of them, but she'd take over, and it would turn into a proper fascist dictatorship.
I had nothing to do with this, honey.
I'd have the 2 older ones, Lola and Indy. They're just compassionate, wise, articulate.
They are very beautiful children.
I would I trust them completely.
Okay, so it's us 5 and everybody else that wants to send bullet points with some
everyone's
ideas.
welcome. You know what? It's everything I've said today is so obviously true. That's why it's called the Common Sense Party. No one can argue about the billionaire thing. No one can argue about the crown assets thing. No one can argue about the treatment of animals and factory farms. No one can argue about medicine and capitalism. And nobody can argue about us being gun runners. There's not one thing about that anyone except a moron would argue against. So it doesn't even need us special 5. Just everybody can agree with those things. Surely, people, we can agree with those things.
Yeah, we can agree. Well, I certainly agree. And I think, Bryony and Paris in the studio here can agree.
They're just basic.
Yeah. This is like an echo chamber, though. There might be people out there that could come up with reasons that we need those things. I don't know what they would be, but I'm sure you'd have an answer for them. You've got an answer for everything.
For those things, I can't imagine anyone except an idiot would argue against them.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few out there that could. Okay.
Some people say, well, we need to be the arms race because if we don't do it, the French will do it. It's like, that's so stupid. It's like, okay, well, we're going to have slaves then. Well, if we don't do it, then
Dubai will.
It's like, what kind of an argument is that?
Yeah.
If we don't do it, someone else will do it. Oh, well, let's fucking do it then. Stupid.
Okay, so I'm not going to touch my microphone. I had a thing then. I'm not allowed to touch the microphone. So have you got anything else that you would like to add to the Common Sense Party, the One Giant Leap crew, just general life, any wise words of wisdom, anything you'd like to suggest for our branding?
For all the other humans.
For all the other people, all the other beings out there.
If you want one practical tip to actually start yourself off, you think, oh, this is all so diverse. I don't know how I can make a difference. I don't know how I can start my self-development without going down wrong rabbit holes. If there's one thing that everybody could start by doing, and really, if you really, really, really focus on this, is to become incredibly observant and maybe even a little strict about your self-talk.
Yes.
That's an incredibly simple but efficient thing that every human can do, is just really notice the way you talk to yourself, and notice that you probably wouldn't talk to any other humans like that without getting thumped or really upsetting people. People's self-talk, we've internalized a lot of very negative, very cruel, often self-loathing, impatient, unencouraging, mean ways we treat ourselves, ways we frame ourselves, ways we disempower ourselves. Oh, I couldn't possibly. If you do nothing else, and if you ignore all the other nonsense I've been talking about, if you just do one thing, really, really notice your self-talk, really notice and adjust your self-talk to start speaking to yourself in a slightly more kind and encouraging way, that would be a massive act of activism that would help yourself and the planet.
I think we can end it there. That was perfect. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having
Do you want
me.
anything else to add, or was
Boob flash? No, I'm good.
Boob flash. I don't think we need any boob flashes. You're certainly not having. No, we're certainly not having any of mine.
No, I meant mine.
Yeah, I know. We don't need those either. That's you don't need those either. So get on your treadmill. Thank you very much for watching.
That would be
this
a mood
today.
flash.
A move. Thank you for watching this today. Go and check out jamiecatto.com, and while you're at it, it's iamsoundacademy.com, and we will see you on the next one. Bye for now.